Welcome to the John and Joe Show, where we get to talk about things that matter to John and Joe.
And hopefully they matter to you also.
Well, in the end, we hope you get something out of this as well. But we got together originally, John, to just talk about things that we care about because they matter to us. And we're hoping that we align with people that are like us. But even if you're not like us, we hope that you just enjoy the show for
whatever reason.
Whatever reason. By the way, this is John.
Yeah, thank you for introducing me.
You're welcome.
And as always, the co-host, Joey McGurr.
Here I am. And with us in studio today, our guest.
The big man in real estate.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Evans.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Try talking again into that microphone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
We're having some... Oh, are we good?
There we go.
All right, technical difficulties fixed.
Life is good.
Always fun.
So this is what happens when you get to meet John and Joey in the real world and become friends with us. Sometimes you end up over at John's house while we're recording and you get invited to come and participate with us. But we're actually having a really interesting conversation, so we stopped the conversation so we could roll it right into our next episode and invite Robert to join us because it was very particular to having him here today to actually participate in this conversation because of what he does and how he does it.
So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about branding, and especially those of us that have a business and we are the business, we are the brand, and how are we doing that? So everything like Joey, you use McGurr Enterprises,
right?
I use Maximize Others. Robert, you use the big man in real estate. So here's what I want to do. Let's kind of go around and Joey, I'll start with you on how you got to McGurr Enterprise. Let's kind of go around how we got to that, and then I have a funny story. Well, maybe not
it's
so
funny
much.
Now.
It's funny now. It kind of hurt when it happened, but I'll talk about how I lost a client, and I lost the client because of my branding. I think that there may be some interesting lessons there. So, Joey, let's start with you. How did you get to McGurr Enterprises?
Well, first off, I was born with the name, so there's that. Right? I didn't really have much of a choice. But the reason I really started using it was because I could have come up with some snazzy corporate sounding name, and I chose not to do that simply because I was searching for one actually for a long time. And in 2010, actually just prior to 2010, I had sort of given up on the whole idea of incorporating some quippy, pithy, neat-sounding name. I didn't want to be Google or anything like that, or Amazon. I didn't want to flip open the dictionary, stick my finger down, and just pick the first word that I might have been,
or be like Google and just make up a word,
or just make up a word, right, or misspell the word Google, right. And so I just decided I actually incorporated McGurr Inc. on January 1st, 2010. And I had businesses prior to that, drew my line in the sand and decided that I'm going to just go with McGurr. And that's what I'm going to be known corporally as a business. And as I hire people, I'm going to hire them under the McGurr label. And I actually started out with McGurr Inc. was the original name. And I had a couple of DBA businesses under that. And then over the years, I just didn't like that so much. And I was spending a lot of time in social media management and consulting. And so we changed the name we used the DBA, McGurr Social Media Communications. And I didn't like that. So we changed the name to McGurr Interactive Communications. And that became MIC, which I liked because it was like a mic, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't like that it was all that a mic represented me just talking and not actually being receptive. So I got rid of the MIC and we went with McGurr Enterprises. And at the time we went with McGurr Enterprises, which was right around March of 2013, we were delving into other things and I was looking to expand. So McGurr Enterprises made more sense. All along, ever since I've been alive, I've been Joey McGurr. And so even back in 2010 when I created McGurr Inc., I bought the domain joeymcgurr.com. I originally began my blog lived there. I still to this day call it my home on the web. I still to this day about every 4 to 6 months will go in there and update things that have changed. I have a daughter. I go in there and say she's no longer 6. She's now 7. So I kind of keep that fresh and alive. It has a lot of SEO value. So if somebody meets me in an event, or if you guys recommend somebody to me, and all they have is you scribble my name down. They don't have my phone number. They don't have my email address. It's so easy for them to go do a Google search. I'm like the first 10 pages of Google and the very first thing on page 1, I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's Google, Bing, Yahoo. Number 1, page 1, joeymcgurr.com is going to show up.
Right.
And there's 40 different ways to get a hold of me on there, right? So if Vine is your thing and that's how you want to communicate with me, I'm going to make it real easy for you to find me and to communicate with me, because that's really what, at the end of the day, when you're creating a brand for yourself, it's first of all, it's identification. I'm identified as this. And second, it's how you can get a hold of me, right? To me, the web is, Google is a business card. People say, hey, do you have a business card? And sometimes I don't. If I'm at the beach with the kid, I don't have a business card on me. I'm just going to look and I go, look, Google me. And I'm not trying to be, snobby, and I'm not trying to be funny or anything. That's the reality, is I've created an environment where I can very easily say, here's my name.
Yeah, Google Joey McGurr.
If you go to just go to the web, type it in, I'm going to show up and you're going to know how to get a hold of me. In fact, I was Monday, where we regularly gather at Joel's coffee shop on Monday morning. I was meeting a gentleman for the first time. He asked me for my business card, and I said, look, are you on the meetup group? Because we all meet there through a meetup group. And I said, go to the meetup group. I'm the organizer. I'm real easy to find. And he just nodded and smiled. If he wants to call me, he can. If he wants to find me, he can. I'm very, very easy to find. And to me, that's what my brand represents, is that I'm very accessible. I also like to teach people to do essentially what I do. If you looked at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that under skills, there's only 8 things on there. And one of them is personal branding. And the reason that's there is by design. I want people to know I think about this all the time. And I want people to know that if you're struggling, which obviously, Robert, you're not, John, you're not, but if you're struggling with how to really quantify your
Maybe
personal
I'm not
brand,
struggling, but I'm certainly thinking about, I'm working, right?
Room for improvement.
Yeah.
always room for improvement. So that's kind of how I got to where I am today. Robert.
Well,
How did you get to the big man in real estate?
A long way around, I can tell you that much. It's interesting. My name is Robert Evans. Robert being like the third most popular. Robert being the most like the third most popular name in the United States,
And Evans being like the 10th most popular surname.
Exactly. So there's lots of Robert Evans. I don't think I was ever in school in a classroom that I was the only Robert in the classroom. So I started, like most people in business, using my name, and found that I got kind of lost in the white noise of business because of my common name. Because you meet 15 Roberts in a day doing who knows what. So a couple of years back, I was sitting down with a mentor by the name of Gene Frederick, great here in Austin real estate, great guy. And we were about to go to a real estate convention. Lots of networking with realtors all across the country. Living in a city like Austin where we have so many people coming to this city, great place to find real estate agents to refer business to you coming from other places. But again, this is an event of a couple of thousand people. I'm going with my card that says Robert Evans, and it just wasn't going to be very effective. Gene, knowing me like he does, he called me into his office one day. He said, "Robert, we're going to this event, and we're gonna figure out how we're gonna work this event together. We're going for business. We're not going for play. We're gonna work this event." And he said, "How comfortable are you with your name/brand?" I said, "Well, I'm me. Anybody that's met me knows me pretty well." And he said, "No, I want to do this better." He's like, "I know you're, in a good way, I know you have no shame. You're very comfortable in your skin." I said, "Yes, I am." He's like, "So we're going to go about this differently." He's like, "You're not allowed this entire week-long event to tell people your name, being Robert Evans. We're going to sit down here. We're going to develop a different way of doing it." So in that meeting, Big Man in Real Estate wasn't born yet. It was literally started out as what we come up with our brainstorming. He said, "We're going to have a shirt made for you. You're going to wear several of them. We're going to order 5 of them. You're going to wear them all week long. And it's simply just going to be you with a big shirt, because you're a big man.
You
big
are
billboard.
a big man.
I am a big man, quite literally. And the shirts, all it's going to say is size does matter in Texas real estate." And you're going to wear one every day in bright colors and walk around this event, and I guarantee you people will walk up to you and want to know who you are. And lo and behold, all week long, I had real estate agents from all over the country come in, because it just happened to also be in Dallas, Texas that year. So they were coming to Texas and wanted to take pictures with a big man from the big state of Texas with size does matter in Texas.
Do you still have any of those pictures?
I do.
Send me some of those. I want to put those on our show notes. I would love to see that.
Absolutely. Do you still have the shirt?
I do.
You still wear it?
No. No, I do not. So that's kind of where it started. And then when I got back from it and I was sitting down with my wife and I was telling her about just how much fun it was in the week and you know, how people remembered that. And I hadn't used my name. He just told me, you're not allowed to tell people your name. If they want to remember you, this is how they'll remember you. And it was such a success. My wife and I sat down and we had dinner with Gene and his wife and stuff like that. And we just got to talking. And the next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, the Big Man in Real Estate brand was born. It's just been successful as a brand since then. Having the website Big Man in Real Estate, again, it's unique enough that if you type in Big Man in Real Estate in Google, I am the entire first page because it's just nobody else has that. And I wanted something that was unique, that went to me and my personality type, which Big Man in Real Estate does. But I also wanted something that I could build as a brand and have the brand itself be value, so that you know, one day when you have other employees that may do what you do, other people that walk in or whatever, that when they come up, if they work underneath that brand, it means something.
Yeah. You know, definitely a topic for another show, but the whole concept of how are you building the value in the business to where you don't have to be in the business? Because ultimately, I think one day, you know, we either want to sell it because we want to go do something else or give it to their kids or whatever it is. And I think so many people, they spend their blood, their sweat, and their tears, and at the end of the day, all they've done is get a job with their name on it.
Absolutely.
And they haven't built value in the business so that someone else can go out. Branding is an important piece to that equation. So
why
cool.
would any entrepreneur work so hard, and we do, entrepreneurs do work so hard to build something that they're just going to let go away? What kind of you know, lineage, whatever you want to say to it, why would you want to not add something as small as branding, which really it's big, but something as easy as branding to your lifelong entrepreneurship of your business, so that it does have that perceived value to somebody else that can just make it as good as you did?
And I think branding is, you know, if somebody's asking the question, when do you do branding? How long have you been the Big Man in Texas? When was that you went to that conference?
I developed this brand about 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago. And so when you create a brand, it's not when you stop creating that brand. You're constantly always, and we talked about the evolution of the show, the John and Joe show. There's a brand there that, as of today, is different than it was 6 months ago, and it'll be different again in 6 months. You're constantly always branding and changing it, and in 6 months from now, you're probably going to still be the Big Man in Texas. Now, 6 years from now,
the Big Man in Real Estate.
Sorry, the Big Man in Real Estate. Thank you, John. 6 years from now, and I love, by the way, that you didn't put Texas in that, because you could be the Big Man in Real Estate anywhere. You might actually be 200 pounds lighter, and you could still be the Big Man in Real Estate because you have a huge personality
in both ways. But yes, still the Big Man in Real Estate.
And you
we are. This is clearly a guy show,
there's
because
so many,
if we had a female hosted here, we would be in so much trouble.
Yeah, it's a good thing they're not.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'll stop talking now.
Well, but you know what? And here's when you said, you know, developing the brand, and then, you know, what's different. Yeah, it's important that in Google I come up with just the Big Man in Real Estate. But I'll tell you what, it's more important to me that clients of mine, people like y'all that I deal with on a regular basis, I have clients that don't know my name. But it's a beautiful thing, because I'll get that phone call out of nowhere and they'll say, you know what, I was talking to so-and-so and they said I had to call the Big Man in Real Estate. And that's all they said.
That's all they said.
You just got to call the Big Man.
Yeah.
And that's what they said. You said it earlier, coming up in people's minds when, you know, a situation arises. We meet each other in networking meetings, but the real key to networking is when that conversation that has to do with your business, coaching, somebody, public speaking or whatever, that your name comes to mind when that conversation is had.
Top of mind. You know, 90% of networking, it's simply to have your name, your brand top of mind, so that when someone's ready to engage your service, or actually more importantly, when they meet someone who's ready, you're the name that's on it. Well, my story is a little bit more more boring than your stories. You guys put like a lot of thought to your branding, and I wish I could say that I did. So I did Schober Enterprises. So my legal name, my corporate name is Schober Enterprises, and I've had the Schober.org domain for like ever, like 93, 94. When I got it for free on,
You mean when the internet was chiseled on a
That's
rock?
right. When Al Gore was still in the closet putting the wires together of the internet. That domain is actually, my wife has her blog there. So if you go to Schober.org, you'll actually get Jennifer's stuff. And so when I kind of thought, okay, I'm not doing the same thing that she's doing. I'm reaching a different audience. I need to come up with something else. I did one of the Strength Finders assessments, and so Maximizer is like my top strength, and that kind of resonated. So my branding became Maximize Others, because that's really what I'm trying to do, is trying to teach people how to maximize others. But through this process, the other piece, and I don't know kind of where you guys are, but one of the things in my business is sort of sharing my faith. So my faith is very much a piece of my business, and I'm still kind of going through exactly what that means and exactly how I present it, but it's certainly a piece of what I do. And so let me kind of share a story of how I lost a client because of my brand and because of my faith. So on my website, I had a little thing about me, and it talks about my faith. It says I'm a Christian, I'm a preacher's kid, my dad is an Assemblies of God minister. Just some touch points so that people would have sort of an awareness to me. So I had a client call me up. We had a great kind of introduction session, really connected well with each other, and we were moving forward on engagement, which is always good, right? Gonna pay, and most people take a day or two to decide. So sure, no problem. Well, I got an email from him about a day or two later, and he said, "I want to talk to you about your faith and about this thing that you have on your website." And one of the things I had on my website was a reference to a public minister, Joyce Meyer, who is. Can you say a fan? Can you say you're a fan of a pastor? I don't even know if that's legitimate, but I get a lot of value out of her. She's someone that I connect with, and so as I was kind of trying to connect my faith, I used her name, and she's big name, and there are some people that don't care for her style or whatever. And so I got this email from this guy, and he said, "Hey, what do you think of the prosperity gospel of Joyce Meyer, and how does that affect your coaching style?" And I got that email.
Loaded question.
Yeah, exactly. I got that email, and it was like, okay, this is a loaded question. I don't really think that they're asking like my theological perspective on this. And to complicate things, this is what was really funny. This referral was actually from one of my strategic partners. So, I mean, not only was there like money on the table to me if I did this wrong, but it was from my 48 Days network, and I'm wanting to be a good reference. And this was the first referral they sent me, and I don't want them to look bad. So, I'm going through this kind of struggle in my head. Do I beat around the bush and just dance around it? Do I hit it head on?
Do you kind of tell them what you think they want to hear?
Exactly.
Versus holding to your integrity and your guardrails and going straight into what you think might be a dangerous answer, but it's the truth.
Yes. So I thought about it, and I decided, I'm gonna give a pretty straight up answer. So I responded back to them, and the first thing is, this sounds like a loaded question. Literally, that's what my email says. This sounds like a loaded question, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it directly. And so in my response, I said, I connect with Joyce. She shares a common story with my wife. I like the excellence of her production of her show. I think that it's a high quality, and so I connect with that. And for me personally, when I hear her preach and teach, I'm challenged, and so it does a lot for me, and so that's why I connect with her. And then I kind of talked about this prosperity thing, and I said, now here I'm. This is the John and Joe show, so this is John getting into his personal opinion. As I said, I think that's kind of dangerous waters. I think that there's a lot of people that use that. They're kind of poking holes at someone else's theology or personality and not looking at their own theology or personality. And I told him, I said, as a coach, if you're a client and if I pick up that you're blaming someone else or criticizing someone else, I'm probably going to call you on that pretty quickly in a coaching environment. And I'm not going to have a whole lot of patience for that, because from a coaching perspective, it's all about what are you doing? How are you improving yourself? How are you maximizing others? And I said, that will come out in coaching. I think I responded politely and respectfully and professionally. I was pretty direct, and I certainly said that I have other people in my referral network. This is, if you think that this is going to get in the way of what you want, no problem. I've got other people that you might be a better match for. And in the end, the guy gave me a really nice letter. He said, hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate your perspective, but no, I don't think that we're going to be a good match. He went on to another coach, and as far as I know, got what he wanted. As I thought about that, and as I thought about how much my faith is part of my brand, and do I really want to have that conversation again, I actually have removed some of that information. So if you go to my website now, if you go to like my faith, it just simply says, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christ follower, I'm messed up, Jesus saved me. And that's about as deep into theology as I go on the website.
Do you think you'll ever change that back to be somewhat more specific? Or do you think that this experience has caused you to rethink how specific you really need to be while people are... Because people are looking, right?
Yeah.
He obviously went and looked over your website. He scrutinized. He picked something and used it to essentially justify the answer that he was going to give to you. Because you didn't know what his response was going to be.
I will probably continue to be open about me. I don't think when I'm talking about my faith, I don't think that I'm going to put that in the context of a denomination or a person. I don't want to go defend someone else. I don't want to go defend my denomination or defend a pastor. I mean, that's not my job. Right. So in terms of like, I'll absolutely continue to reference, I'll continue to talk to it. But if I say what's my faith, I'm going to keep it very much me, and I'm not going to have another entity other than hopefully whatever my reflection of Christ is. That'll probably be it. But I probably will not go, I identify with so-and-so and I'm connected with. I probably will be a lot more hesitant doing that. Now, I certainly will continue to reference great writers and perspectives and, talk about some of that. I actually was talking to someone. He was also a Christian writer, and he wrote a book, pretty famous author, and he had in there a quote from Charles Darwin. And his publisher, it was a Christian publishing company, and they're like, I don't think your audience is going to really connect. They're going to stumble. And that's, in a brand and relationship marketing, which is what all of us are in, there's no reason to create stumbling blocks for the audience. But
at the same time, you do want to create a picture of who you are. I think that's part of the brand. Pick a position, but you don't have to go so far as to say, let me quote this particular individual, or let me point a light on this somewhat incendiary topic, which she doesn't really represent you. You might be a fan. I'm a fan of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I don't need to put those things out there for the sake of that it might cause me to have conversations I might be uncomfortable with. But I think that's good.
You got to appreciate happy accidents. How fortunate are both of you from a time standpoint, because we can't get it back, that you found out about this incompatibility up front.
Oh, yeah.
Before y'all had spent a lot of time and effort with each other just to have that negated because of one viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very positive experience, and I don't know, client, if you're out there, for me, it was a positive experience, and I hope that you got a great coach, and I wish you all the best, because it really was part of what I do is help people be self-aware.
Yeah, but for all of our businesses, I don't think that at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters to them. It shouldn't matter to the finer granular degree. At the end of the day, your job is to help him, regardless of, he probably wants to know that if you are a believer and he's a believer, and you guys can kind of align on that. But getting down into things like prosperity,
getting down to the personality perspective, that was bad on me. Like, glad I learned it on, client number, 3 or whatever, as opposed to kind of building this and then getting it done. But
yeah, well, that's That's great. I'm really enjoyed this conversation, guys.
Well, and Robert, thanks for being in here and coming on and being a guest on the show.
No, thank you. I appreciate absolutely y'all's entire show. It's been an absolute wonderful experience to sit here and be a part of this.
Well, we've really enjoyed having you, Robert. We'd be happy to have you back in the future. And so that's it for this episode. I want to thank our guest, Robert Evans, the big man in real estate, for coming down, sitting with us today on the show. I want to thank John and Joyce Myers and all the other people out there that love to...
I wonder if Joyce Myers will listen to this episode.
Joyce, if you're listening, let us know. Hey, if you're listening and you've got ideas around your personal brand or questions you want to shoot them our way, send them to johnandjoeshow.com, where you'll find our show notes, or you can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all that other kind of stuff. On behalf of John, I'm Joe, and we got to go. So see ya.
Have a great day.